Slow to first and Homer Bailey for the second time in his major league career has tossed the no-hitter. Oh, are you kidding me? Holy Moses, the second player in major league history to hit 7 home runs in the first 10 games. In the air and the Reds win it. What a dream to get into the career of Jay Bruce.
All right. Welcome into another edition of Chatterbox Reds. Hopefully, we will continue to get blessed with content, things to talk about throughout Major League Baseball. Things should be heating up here relatively soon, you'd like to think, because the man, the myth, the legend that was supposed to start the domino, that domino fell over the weekend, Nick. Shohei Ohtani, I'm sure we'll get into him. He is the first thing on the get down. But as always, I'm supposed to be a nice guy and ask you how you're doing, so I'll do that first.
Trace, I'm doing well. Good to be back with you. We had like one 7-hour show last week, but nice to be back in a little bit more of a routine. We'll kind of see if Nick Kroll and company will allow us to stay in a routine or not.
Correct. Yeah, that's what it all comes down to, isn't it? That and it takes two to tango in free agency sometimes, and obviously from a trade perspective, takes two teams to tango. So we shall find out if that's going to be the case or not. As always, thank you guys for watching. All right, I got to be honest, Nick. I started the day off. I was in a bad mood. I got myself into a position later in the evening where I continued to become frustrated with the landscape that is in sport. I went to my 8-year-old's third grade little holiday recital. They sang some carols. I watched all these kids not sing that well, but it was a blessing nonetheless. It was just enjoyable, and I thought, you know what, maybe things aren't so bad after all. So I'm back in great spirits thanks to those third graders. So shout out to Grayson and all those third graders for getting me back in a better mood. But I'll be honest, most of my bad mood comes from the sports world in general. Not that we need to be a soapbox here and sit here and complain about everything. But I feel like I'm that meme right now, Nick, where you got the dog sitting in the middle of the room and just everything's on fire around him, and the meme obviously is it's fine. I'm a big sports fan, and there's just seems to be greed everywhere. And I'm not suggesting that by any means what Shohei did is greed. More or less the golf world, and more or less the transfer portal, and more or less the state of Florida now suing the College Football Playoff Committee. So I don't know, man. The Ohtani news is obviously the thing that most people will obviously care about on this show because it's Chatterbox Reds and it pertains to baseball, so we'll stick to that. Ohtani, $700 million, I'll say that again, $700 million contract calls for him to be paid only $2 million a year, Nick, for the next 10 seasons. That's $680 million if you're keeping count, deferred until the end of the deal. Now, Nick, you're smarter than I when it comes to some of this stuff. I'm obviously a casual to a certain extent when it comes to these things. I'm not naive to what this means, but I really don't know. I'm trying. Will you cheer me up on this, or are you just going to be the same? You're going to be pissing in the same pot as I am, because I'm not very happy about this, if we're being honest.
I don't think I'm maybe as far gone as you. I don't think this is good by any means, but so let me kind of walk you through what matters to the Reds, because I don't give a shit how much Shohei Ohtani's making. I don't care how much the Dodgers are paying him. It doesn't matter at all to me. What matters is how can the Dodgers construct their roster around him,
Right.
because that's what matters to me. So what really matters here is basically half of his $70 million, a little more than half of his $70 million contract counts towards the collective bargaining tax. So it's not like he's only making $2 million a year, yes, but it's still like for the taxing purposes, which I don't want to go all the way down the rabbit hole of that, but if you go over a certain number, teams start getting taxed and teams try to stay under that luxury tax. It kind of works as like a soft salary cap, and the further you go into the luxury tax, the more penalties you have, which don't include just money. They also include draft picks, which we know is very important at baseball. So $46 million is still included in that. So basically, instead of $70 million, they have a free, oh boy, math on the fly here. They have a free $34 million, $24 million to play with each year. So that's what matters here. This is just, it's such a weird situation because like Ohtani's like the only player that I think would ever agree to something like this, just because of how much he's making in endorsements from overseas and everything else. He's already made so much money in his career, more than most people make before they go into their first big contract. It's a loophole in the sport. It's not good for the sport because it's just allowing the richer teams just to be even richer. I don't fault Ohtani for this. I think it's a good like move in his mind to make the team better and all those kind of things. I don't really blame the Dodgers for this. If I was a Dodgers fan, I'd want my team to be exploiting the rules too, right? I mean, but it's definitely something that needs to be addressed. And my biggest fear is when the next collective bargaining agreements ends, which I believe is 2026. Is this just going to be another thing to add to an already contentious situation between the Major League Baseball Players Association and the owners, and make another massive, long, ugly lockout?
Yeah, I'm not going to go down that path quite yet, but I mean, I'll be honest. I think when you hear that deal and you hear how they constructed it, and you realize that Nick Senzel is the same amount on the books as Shohei Ohtani, there's a problem. I mean, there is a clear issue. It's not. This isn't even up for debate. This isn't like my opinion or this person's opinion. You can call it whatever you want. I guess from an objective standpoint, it is my opinion. But the fact of the matter is, it's not right. And if this shows itself to where, and again, I said this before, it may not matter at all. This might not even be a talking point, right? It's almost like a bad call in the game that you forget about the bad call because it didn't affect the total outcome of the game. But if that team would have lost, you would have gone back and said, well, you remember that call? That's kind of my point with this a little bit here, is that if the Dodgers are able to construct a roster that just sheerly dominates the sport. Now, we all know that this sport, unlike most other sports, I do think that there is some parity just the way that the game is in and of itself. Right? It's not like maybe the NBA where if you had literally the 5 best players, you're never gonna probably lose. This sport will allow you to have some of the best players, and we've seen it with the Angels before. But my point to you, Nick, is if they find a way to dominate the sport, and they've already been somewhat dominant, but if they dominate, and they win 5, we won't say 5, that's crazy, 3 World Series in the next 6 years, or whenever you said that bargaining agreement's up again, there's going to be more people than people realize on the side of owners. Do you know how hard that is? Do you know how hard it is to get the public to side with billionaires? It's really hard to do, and I think that will actually happen. Because at some point, like, this has to be somewhat equitable, and we're not going to sit here and complain all night about, oh, look at us, we're the low man, and we're getting dunked on, and we can't win, and this, that, and the other. The Reds still very much can win. It's just somewhat tiresome, I guess. You know what it feels like in a way, Nick? I used this example the other day. Is like, I feel like we're, and I don't want to pick on any MAC schools, but I'll just use them as a whole. It feels like we're a MAC football team, right? And we're playing in this league that we all are in the same league. We all can go to the college football playoffs, theoretically. Like, we all are in the bowl series. But as soon as we have a great player, they're going to transfer somewhere else. And as soon as we might go undefeated, they're going to complain because of something else. Like, I don't know, man. And maybe I'm being a little overly sensitive about this whole thing, but it's just crazy to me that a guy's going to defer that much money, and that's part of the rules. But, all right, that's here nor there. Nick, let's get back to the Reds, because I think that's what most people care about on this show. Let's just do one quick thing really fast. We kind of gotten ourselves in a situation with the Reds where they made I don't want to say a lot of moves, but they made some moves quickly, right? On the front end of free agency, when you look back at it and all of the names that are going to get signed, they signed some guys early. And maybe, I don't want to say we rushed through it, but just as a quick recap here, let's run through the Reds offseason so far, and then obviously we'll get into the only guy that seems to pop up on every single show, and that is Jonathan India.
Yeah, it was a lot of moves at once, and then right around Reds Fest as well, which kind of threw a little bit of wrench at us just with me traveling. So I thought it might be good to just kind of recap where we're at this point. Of course, Jeimer Candelario, that's the biggest splash so far. 3 years, $45 million contract. He's got a club option for a 4th year. Starting pitcher, relief pitcher. We'll see how the Reds use him. Nick Martinez, 2-year, $26 million contract. And then Emilo Pegan, the reliever, he's got a 2-year, $16 million contract. A couple other maybe notable minor league signings, at least of late. Eric Gonzalez, the shortstop. He has quite a bit of major league experience. Some with the Pirates, some with the Guardians. Mark Mathias, he was a second baseman with the Brewers last year, and the Reds were able to recently re-sign Connor Overton into a minor league deal. Reaver San Martin and some others as well. But that's kind of where we're at. I do have a question for you, Trace. I thought this might be an interesting thought exercise on this. Of those 3 deals, rank them 1 through 3. Which one you like the most? Which one you like the least? It doesn't have to be like you hate any of them, but just rank them 1 through 3.
I would say Jeimer's number 1, Martinez is 2, and Emilio's 3. Listen, I don't. Am I close to you or what?
Yeah, I have gone 3. I mean, I think a reliever at $8 million. I don't think it's a bad contract just because it's a 2-year deal. I don't think there is a whole lot of bad contracts that are short contracts.
Yeah.
And I've been saying that forever, but I would actually have Martinez number 1. I think I like Candelario, but I think Martinez was like the best fit for the Reds. I just love that he can start, that he can relieve. He's like a new and improved Ben Lively, which the Reds need. They need that guy desperately for next year. So I think he's the best fit. I like Candelario a lot. The more I look into him, the more I like him. The more a couple dingbats on Twitter decide to crap on him, the more I like him too. And the more I'm going to be excited about his season and hoping he can prove a couple people wrong.
I do think he's going to be a bullpen guy, though. I guess that leads me to the point that I do think they're going to go get some more help from a rotation standpoint. How they do it, that is yet to be determined. They're trying to do it, though. I mean, there's no doubt about it. If there's smoke, there's fire, and there's smoke what seems to be every week about how the Reds are in discussion with this team about what it would take to get this player, and those players always are obviously front-end starters. Candelario is this. I've seen everything under the sun, and you know what? Social media is such a brutal place to try to construct any kind of reasonable way to consume content, because you have so many people that kind of jump the gun and they forget this is a 162 game season, man. Like, you know how many games that is, everybody? Like, that is so many damn games. And the reality is that the Reds, if nothing else, I have two things to say about this. I think as fans, and I'm guilty of it as much as the next person. Hell, I did it with De La Cruz when he came up after the first week and a half, and I don't know how you could fault anybody for doing what I did, which is you see the best version of your player almost at all times until you turn south on them, and then you see the negative side of that player at all times. The fan very rarely, and I'm not trying to say all of us, but most of us can't see the true version of whatever player it is. They see the best of it. You've seen it with Joey Votto, and you've seen the worst of it with a guy like, and you know, hey, you can kill us for the day as long as you'd like, but Stuart Fairchild, okay? There's going to be people that act like they're the world's worst player and then the world's best player. CES and of course, Marte and Ellie and McLean, those 4 guys, we want them, and we see the best version of what we would like them to be. Well, there's no guarantee that's what they're going to be. And the Reds had to build some kind of safety valve there. And oh, by the way, my safety valve is not a depth piece for Candelario. That's why he's number one for me. He's going to play. He's going to play a lot. And my point is that they've obviously made the decision that CES is going to be the guy that's going to slot in as a DH spot. And I'm not suggesting that the Reds are going to trade him. But the other point I'll make, and I'm not saying trade him. But if we want this franchise to move and move smart, the stock's high on some of these guys right now. The stock is high on some of these guys right now. And I'm telling you, it doesn't take long for their stock to drop completely off the face of the earth. And I'm telling you, if I told you Tyler Stevenson would have the stock that he has 2 years ago, you'd sit here and laugh straight in my face and tell me I'm the biggest idiot in the world. So I'm going to tell you two guys, Nick. That stock is very high. And I'm not saying that you have to trade him, but I'm saying if they did trade him, it wouldn't be the end of the world. You ready for it? CES is one of them. Okay? I'm just telling you. And TJ Friedel is another one. And am I saying they should trade him? No. Hear me clearly. I'm not saying they should trade them. But what I am saying is that if you're Nick Krall and you're in a position where you feel like, hey, I kind of want to make a splash here, I want to move forward, you look around the room and you think, okay, who's high? Those two guys are, and I'm saying as high as they can get, Nick, but they're pretty damn high, relatively speaking, of where you thought you had them a year and a half ago.
I don't think you're wrong. I think I would throw Ashcraft in there. I think Ashcraft's the one that's probably stock is as high as it's gonna get. CES just feels he's so built for Great American Ballpark that it would be hard. Friedel, I'm totally with you on that. The problem with the Reds is they don't have another center fielder. Like,
they could sign Harrison
Friedel,
Bader.
You could, but you're banking on. I mean, Harrison Bader is pretty terrible against right-handed pitching. So that it's all about how you can replace a guy. I honestly think if you're going to go down that route, a guy like Spencer Steer is probably a little bit more replaceable than TJ Friedel for at least 2024. Now obviously Steer's got a lot more ahead of him, but I'm with you on Friedel. I think that his value is never going to be higher, but the cost of replacing him is significant. It's more significant than half this roster right now, right?
If he plays the way in which we all hope he plays, yes. That's all I'm saying.
Well, no,
that's all I'm saying.
Not even the way he played. If he plays like league average center field, like if he's a league average hitter, replacing that and playing decent defensive center field is very expensive. Like you just don't go out and sign a league average hitting center fielder that plays above average defense for nothing. I mean, that's literally close to a $15-20 million player. That's why the Reds signed Candelario and didn't go sign Teoscar Hernandez.
I'm just saying that's also why other teams find value there.
Yeah, you're not wrong there.
If he turns around and he hits 220 this year,
he still might be a 2.5 win player. You know.
Yeah, and by the way, I feel confident about TJ Friedel. Everyone just relax. I'm not trying to sound the alarm and say, oh, Trace doesn't believe in TJ Friedel. I'm just throwing out some possibilities that people would be shocked about, and I'm saying I wouldn't be shocked because ultimately, and also to be clear, if they were to make a trade with TJ Friedel in it, there also could be a position where you could say, hey, there might be someone coming up, and I don't know enough about the minor leagues, but you know, is there anybody knocking on the door? Like I don't know, is Dunn above average defensively or not?
I don't know about in center field. I mean, I know Dunn and Hurtubise can play center field. I think you'd probably prefer them in the corner. I will be honest, I don't know enough about them defensively, but I think they profile better as like that Will Benson type that could play center field, but would probably benefit more in a corner and could be an absolute above average defender in those positions. But yeah, TJ Friedel doesn't have to perform as well as he did last year to still be a really valuable player for the Reds. I agree.
And by the way, if we were to get
more likely he progresses.
By the way, if we were to trade a TJ Friedel, it would be for like straight up one-on-one swap with a guy like Bieber is what I'm getting after. Like this isn't instead of going out and having to feel like you got to give up 2 prospects that are high-level prospects, you're giving up somebody that you could say is on the high end of their value peak. I don't know, maybe like Scooter Gennett after his All-Star season or something. All right. You have anything else to add here on the recap before? I promised myself I'm not talking about India that long. You have it on the rundown. We'll talk about him. You want to get into him now?
I mean, there's news every week on this guy. It's like the only news. But the India is more than just India. It's more the whole roster construction now with Candelario. It kind of goes hand in hand. But I'll just read this from our guy, Charlie Goldsmith. Nick Kroll said the 2021 and 2023 Reds offense has tailed off down the stretch with more depth and experience in Candelario. The Reds address that and upgrade the lineup. Steer will play a lot more in the outfield. India will also work in the outfield in the spring while also playing first and second base. So been asking for India in the outfield for a long time. Looks like we might actually have it, barring a trade before spring.
Yeah, I also thought it was cute of them to add in second base at the very end. That was nice of them. That was like the old move. That was like the old move you make when you're a parent, and you tell your kids like, oh, yeah, we're going to go do X, Y, and then you throw in Z just to make them feel like there's a chance that Z might happen, just to make sure that you get the best effort out of them for X and Y. That's what that was. That was really cute of them. If guys get hurt, yeah, by all means. But anyway, I tell you what I'm going to do right now with India, and I'm going to do it until something happens. I'm just going to plead the fifth on the whole thing, because until the Reds decide to make a move about this, it's irrelevant. I don't say it's irrelevant talking about it, but we've beat this horse so damn bad that it's like, we got to know what the Reds want to do. If the Reds want to have depth and they want to keep him, and they're not worried about losing the opportunity of getting some prospects back in return, so be it. And also, let's be clear about this as well. I do think there's a chance there is a team that will overpay. When do they overpay, Nick? When do teams overpay? You know this? I know desperate. This. When they're desperate. And they're going to be desperate at the deadline, because the way that the new rules are and the way that the MLB is, there's no doubt that each year there's going to be teams in the hunt, in the race, that haven't been in the race as of late or not for a while. The fans start, screaming and yelling on social media about how we need to go get this player. Maybe India will be a part of those talks at some point, and then you'll get better return than just trying to figure out what you're going to do with him in the offseason. I'm done with it. I'm like, if he stays, great. If he goes, so be it. Michael Rolfe, man. What are we doing?
This guy just comes in firing every week.
I'll let you read that one, Nick. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm going to enjoy this one, I think. 3 things in life are certain: death, taxes, X wins at the Centos Center against the Bearcats. Last time they didn't, G.W. Bush was president and I was in 7th grade. Light competition for my city gets announced Friday. I'll return with the trophy. Light competition for my city.
There's a light competition. Michael Rolfe is a big-time he's a big-time holiday lights guy. So, Michael, do me a favor. Michael, can you again do me a favor and put in your handle for Twitter? And I need you to post your lights. I know you got pictures of it. Let's put it this way, if you think that you're going to win the city championship for your lights, I know you got some pictures. So you need to put those on Twitter real fast. Let me know your handle again, because my brain's slow, and I'm gonna find a way to cherry on top this thing at the very end. And when we leave the stream, I'm gonna put up the lights for everybody. We'll get us all in the holiday spirit, baby.
I feel like we owe Michael some self-promotion for his lights. And is there like a voting for this? Like, is there a vote online?
Yeah, if not, he would win, because we would rig the deck. We would stack the deck. We'd be, what do they call that? Ballot stuffing back in the old days, I think. Yeah, got to be careful about talking politics, because then things will turn sideways real fast. All right. There's people in the chat asking for Michael to hire him, hire them. It's great. That's why you got to love late night Chatterbox Reds. All right. Moving along this list relatively quickly here. Latest.
Hold up.
Go ahead. What do you got for India?
Can I say something about this?
Please do.
So I see a lot about the Reds have so many infielders. I think the Reds only have 3 good infielders. I think the Reds have 3 infielders: Noelvi Marte, Ellie De La Cruz, Matt McClain. They're the only 3 infielders that are good defensively. Spencer Steer is not a good defensive infielder. Jonathan India is not a good defensive infielder. Christian Encarnacion and Strand can pretty much only play first base and DH. There's actually more outfielders if we're calling Steer an outfielder now, and we're calling, I guess, India an outfielder. So I just don't think they have too much. I mean, I guess Candelario is now an infielder, so there's 4. But yeah, it's not as much of an influx as I think. But again, on India, you could trade this guy at any point. You could also trade him, Trace, at the in spring training. I mean, there could be an injury to someone in spring training. But yeah, there's no point to take pennies on the dollar for him right now. I saw some people, on Twitter suggesting we'll trade him for a middle reliever. A middle reliever. I mean, this guy could go out and have 2 great months in April and May, and all of a sudden be a highly sought after player at the trade deadline. This is not what good organizations do. Good organizations don't sell low, so maybe they can have someone that'll just help them just a little bit in the year right in front of them, with a guy with 3 years of control left.
We're not trading Jonathan India for a Derek Law on steroids. Okay, I'm not doing that. It's like the only reason that Jonathan India has gotten flack on this show and people have become frustrated with him on this show is because defensively he just isn't the guy that he needs to be defensively in a position that I deem as important. Okay, I know we got in a debate, and there was a debate on Twitter about what was a more important defensive position, second base or third base, and whatever. I'll tend to say that it's close, if anything, but I think it's second base. I do, personally. I think it's not saying it's a harder position to play. I'm saying it's a more important position on the field to play when it comes to turn and double plays, and you got to have more range playing second base traditionally than you would at third base. But there are some third basemen that can make some pretty damn good plays and save doubles and do XYZ. So I'm not here to debate it. CES could be the main DH. I don't see how that's a debate. Candelario can play first base. If Marte struggles or he has a hamstring issue, which, knock on wood, I hope to God that's not the case. But if that's the case, then he slides over to third base and he plays there every day. And if somebody does get hurt in the infield, there is an easy progression to be able to slide guys around to fix any I'm not saying any hole, but any position. I would like to think that if McClain got hurt, that Steer could slide in and play second base a decent amount. And listen, Steer's not maybe the world's greatest second baseman. I'm not suggesting that he would be, but he could slide over, play second base. If Marte gets hurt, that's an easy solution already there. And if, let's just say it is Ellie, then I would think that you would move McClain over to shortstop and you'd keep it rolling. So I don't think it's as crazy as everyone made it out to be. I really don't. And I'm not trying to be a stand for the Reds. It's not that. And the other thing, last thing I'll say about this is the owners and put it this way, the owners will have a better feel for the market than we will ever have when it comes to what these what these multi-year salaries are actually worth, right? Look at Joey Votto's contract, for instance, $20 million a year for a great player. What are we talking about? I mean, we're signing Nick Martinez. At some point, and again, I'm not suggesting that Shohei Ohtani's deal is going to be unbelievable in 10 years. You're going to look at it and be like, wow, $700 million. What a deal that is. No, I'm not suggesting that. But I do think that we tend to forget sometimes that, hey, 3 years from now, that might be not pennies on the dollar, but that might be a great contract. All right. Latest Reds rumors. The rumors are always my favorite. This is what gets the X app moving. This is, I think, what it's ran off of is rumors.
Yeah, the only like kind of fresh thing, and this feels recycled also, but Morosi tweeted out today, John Morosi, Reds active on free agent and trade markets as they search for a starting pitcher. Shane Bieber is the one name they've checked on via trade. Michael Wacha and Lucas Giolito among their free agent options. And Seth Lugo was signed today by the Royals, so one of those starting pitchers off. And Trace, I tell you, I would much rather. I know a lot of people are not going to agree with this, but I would much rather the Reds just go out and sign Michael Wacha versus giving up a big package for Shane Bieber.
Big package, maybe, yes. It all comes back to what exactly are they asking for us to give up, and what are we getting in return? And unfortunately, we do a show that we would like to sit here and have fun and speculate and, throw names against a wall and sit here and debate which one would be better. And I mean, that would probably make for maybe better sports talk. And I guess at the end of the day, that's somewhat what this is. But I think some people enjoy this show too, kind of, just because you're sitting around the table, or you're sitting around a bar drinking beer with your friends, and you can actually have reasonable conversation about this. So I'm not going to even really try to get on the whole huge speculation thing either. I'll say this as a fan first, business person trying to look at it from the eyes of a general manager second. I would really love a top-end front-end starter going into 2024. It would give me extreme confidence, if you will. Like, it would give me confidence on opening day that we have every bit of a chance to win the NL Central as anybody else. And maybe it's fool's gold into thinking that just one front-end starter would be that. But that's kind of where my brain is a little bit with this. I got to be honest. And the other part of it, as I've said thousands of times, and I keep regurgitating myself on the same points, is that a lot of this comes down to whether or not we get the same guys we think we're going to get. And that's to be determined. That's the fun part of, I guess, of 2024, is to figure out if these young guys are going to take a step forward or a step back, or are they going to stay the same? And if they stay the same, to be honest with you, that's pretty damn good for most of them. And I think Ellie will take a big step forward, or at least we all hope. And if he doesn't, then hopefully he gets on base just enough to steal a bunch of bags and make a difference that way. But I don't know how you feel about it, Nick. I know you're a prospect guy. You don't want to give up anybody, but if they have to give up maybe somebody that's Cam Colliers of the world, and I get it. In 6 years, I might be killing myself. 5 years, I might be kicking myself. The holiday season, when you want to go out and buy stuff because you're in the mood, and they got all the commercials going, and it's the holiday sales and the Black Friday sales. Maybe I'm in a little bit of a weird psychological mindset right now. It's like, hey, let's just do it. You only live once, man. But where are you at with it? What would it take for you to get Glasnow, Bieber, Cease, and trade him for prospects?
Let me say this, because I'm not a go out and spend a ton of money on like a Blake Snell type. I'd rather they go sign a potential bad contract in Blake Snell than be giving away prospects. I feel like people are letting the Reds off the hook by saying go trade for Shane Bieber. Like, no, just spend the money on Michael Wacha. It's just money. Like you've invested so much into building up this pipeline, and the difference in Michael Wacha and Shane Bieber might not really be all that much. In fact, Michael Wacha pitched better than Shane Bieber did last year. Now, can he repeat that? I don't know, but I'd be willing to take that risk versus giving away prospects for Bieber. And Wacha's been a durable pitcher too. And I know a lot of people have mentioned Stroman. Stroman would be right there. My guess is just the fact that we've heard no Stroman rumors whatsoever is that he's just made it pretty clear and he doesn't want to go to the Reds. And that would make sense for him because he is a guy that is probably looking to reestablish his value and sign another contract. So I would totally understand why like Marcus Stroman wouldn't want to go pitch in Cincinnati. But yeah, he would be right there. Giolito, I like Wacha more. But Giolito, I mean, look, you need more arms. And I don't know. Maybe a lot of it also is I have more of a belief in Hunter Green than others, to where I think Hunter Green's going to take that leap next year, and he's going to be that front end guy. But I don't know. I haven't really heard specific packages for Bieber, but when you're talking giving up like Connor Phillips for Tyler Glass now, like, would you? I can't even fathom how I'd rather have Tyler Glass now over Michael Wacha and Connor Phillips.
I mean, listen, I'm not trying to sound like the guy, because listen, you're just not going to be able to convince me that Michael Wacha is just as valuable as possibly a Bieber. And you know what? Bieber is the closest one I would agree with you on, but certainly Glass now. And Glass now, the only people are going to think that everyone's going to scream about with him is durability. That's fair. But, this is a big but, there's something to be said that if you get into the postseason, it's irrelevant. Like, if they're available, those guys are in a whole nother league of their own, to where when you start getting into the cream rises to the top, those little margins that we're talking about that might not seem like as big of a deal over 162, they make a pretty damn big deal in the over the course of a 5-game series, 3-game set. So, and trust me, I'm with you, Nick. You could say, hey, Tyler Glasnow could go throw and be nails all year long, and then he pitches in the 3-game series for the wild card round, and he shits the bed and gives up 7 runs. I mean, that's possible too, but that's just part of the fickle nature that is baseball when it comes to the postseason. But Dylan Cease is another guy, and I know that that's probably not going to happen based off the fact that he has 2 years of control, and the White Sox feel like they have huge leverage in that situation, and they've already asked for maybe a little too much already. I don't know. We'll see. Is there a chance? Let me just throw out a hypothetical. Is there a chance where, and people are going to hate the Reds for this, that you want to talk about people being pissed off? Is there a chance they hold pat if they don't get what they want, and they're like, you know what? If we get halfway through this season, we are going to spend the money. We are going to spend the money, and we are going to go out and try to trade and get a top-of-the-line front-end starter if whoever it may be, and overpay for them, because we know at that point we're there. We've arrived. Is there any doubt in this front office's mind that they've not arrived and they don't want to overextend themselves for a 1-year or a 1 or 2 year deal based off their overall roster? That's, again, the $1 million question. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible, especially if you get to the trade deadline and like the Reds like postseason probabilities like over 75% or something. I mean, you're a little closer to the finish line, maybe you will. I don't know. I look at this as, how many more wins is Shane Bieber going to give me than Michael Wacha? I think if you use any like projection system, you're probably talking 1-2 maximum. Am I really going to trade away? You're probably looking at 2 valuable prospects. That's 12 years of control for 1 or 2 more wins. That's how you have to view this, and that's how most of these small market teams do view this. And I think that's how the Reds should view it. I'm not completely against acquiring Shane Bieber, but it's going to have to be the right deal. You're going to have to make Reds are really got to trust their own self-evaluations of these prospects, because you can't miss on this. You can't miss on these kind of deals. You do, it's going to set you back. And, I know people think we have so many prospects right now, and we do. We have a great system, but it can flip soon. And the Reds are not in a situation where they have so many prospects that they have to deal them right now. Like Edwin Arroyo, you can let him just keep developing through the minors, and if everything works out perfect and you have no spot for Edwin Arroyo in 2 years, then yeah, maybe you ever forced to trade him, but you're not even anywhere close to that ballpark right now.
Yeah. I don't know where. Listen, the Cease is the one that I keep. I don't know, man. That guy. Give me Dylan Cease. Give me Dylan Cease, and you say, hey, it cost you Rhett Lauder and Cam Collier. I guess I'll bite the bullet and I'll just tell you, I'm taking it. I'm taking it because too many times, put it this way, it only really takes, in my opinion, one of those guys to not pan out for that trade to be a really advantageous trade for the Reds in the position that they're in, at least in my opinion. The second part of this is that, you know, yes, you say, Nick, 6 years, and that is true. But if we look at a guy like our best case example, right, or a perfect example would be like let's say Ellie. Like, okay, we already used a year of Ellie, right? This upcoming year, we're not 100% sure. He's still not full. He's not full max Ellie. So then you're left with 4 years. Let's say you have 2 good years of him. And then after that, you start getting yourself in a position of, okay, well, what are we going to do with this guy? He's costing us a lot in arbitration. Are we going to end up trading him to get as much back in return as we can? So out of those 6 years, how many years of Cam Collier are you really going to miss out on if he is a superstar? Maybe it's 3 years. And you could argue, yeah, 3 years of Cam Collier is better than 2 years of Dylan Cease. And again, to be clear, I don't know what the deals are. But I'm just openly saying to everybody, I mean, Dylan Cease, it was, I think, if I don't have it in front of me, but he's a 6-win player a couple years ago. And yes, that was the best year he's ever had. I'm using that as an example. But hey, he's also was relatively, consistent when it comes to innings as well. He's just a damn good arm.
I'm almost more willing to go, if you're going to go and give up a bunch of prospects, I'm almost more willing to go with Cease than doing it for Bieber, who is a guy that does have some red flags. And Glass now obviously has some red flags also, and also only has 1 year of control. That's that. Both those guys only have 1 year control. That's the kind of thing where if I'm going to give up prospects, at least I'm getting if I'm giving up prospects that really hurt, at least I'm giving that up. But I don't know. I mean, the way that we view some of these guys is how Matt McLain was viewed a couple years ago. And could you imagine if, you traded Matt McLain for 1 year of a pitcher a couple years ago? That would hurt, right? And again, maybe Edwin Arroyo or Cam Collier turn out to be nothing. But maybe they do. And you give up a player that's really, really good. And those kind of things can set your franchise back.
Well, for every Matt McLain, there might be an Austin Hendricks. I mean,
yeah,
trust me, we can go down the line. There's duds. We can find some duds.
Yeah.
Like milk.
It's hard
duds.
to know though now. It's hard to know who's.
It is. I mean, it's risk reward. Why would it? Put it this way: why would a franchise give away a Cy Young potential winner for a bag of balls? They're not going to. Yeah. All right. Anything else that you want to get to here? We'll turn it over to the chat. Obviously, as always, I just want to say, from a podcast perspective, our numbers continue to be incredible. And I just want to say thank you. So that's all.
Only thing I got, our guy Craig just sent this to me. I don't know a whole lot yet, but Drew Davies signed a professional contract with the Cincinnati Reds. International signing from Australia. So the Reds, they're really on the international market. I think that's awesome. That's just another avenue where you can find some value. And the Reds, I think they're doing a good job of every stone unturned, every possible place they can get any sort of value from. And, the more of these, the better. I like that the Lynn guy, they signed the 17-year-old last year. And, you just want to keep these type of players flowing through your system. So I don't know anything about him though.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, there's not a whole lot to be said about a 17-year-old. If he ends up being he's you know what he is? He's throw him into the mix with all these other young kids that they just signed internationally, and put him into the pot that Ellie De La Cruz came out of, and hopefully you get another lottery ticket. That's what these are. We're buying bio stocks. I don't know if many of you are in the chat are stock people, but we're basically out there just buying a bunch of bio stocks and buying them for a couple pennies on the dollar and hoping to God that in 10 years it's worth $10 a piece. All right. One question was, why are the Reds so willing to just throw anyone in the outfield? Like India has ever played outfield. I think Nick and I are on the same page with this. We're sick and tired of Reds being pretty bad defensively. And I think it's a great point. to be honest, and we've already seen it with him with some other players that probably you could argue weren't fun to watch in the outfield. And the concern I have with putting Jonathan India in the outfield is Nick Senzel was unbelievably athletic, and it took him a little bit of time to adjust, and he still wasn't great. I don't want to say I don't want to know, but I kind of don't want to know what Jonathan India quite looks like out there. But if that's what it takes, then that's what it takes, and maybe he'll be decent. I don't know. But to answer your question, Maxwell, that's really the only other spot they can try to figure out if it works at. Kind of like, I'm not saying they're shooting their last shot, but that's kind of what it feels like, Nick.
Well, in Spencer Steer's case, he was awful defensively. He might be worse in the infield than Jonathan India. The numbers say he was absolutely terrible at third base. We didn't really get a whole lot of data at second base, but he was even worse at first base. I thought Steer looked fine in the outfield for his first year. I think he can develop at least to a average outfielder. Jonathan India, I'm with you. Like, what? He can't play second base. He can't be any worse. Your hope is, I feel really good that Marte, De La Cruz, McLean, your second base through third base, is going to be above average and is going to continue to get better and better and better, and can really be a strength for this team defensively. And Candelario, if he's playing first base, I think he can at least be an average first baseman. No disrespect to Joey Votto and Spencer Steer. They were bad first basemen defensively. So I think you've improved a lot of those places. And then TJ Friedel now is the everyday guy in center field. He wasn't going into last year, and he is an above average center fielder. So you have quite a bit of above average players that I think you hope that they can, get by with that. But I don't know. I could honestly see Jonathan India, Trace, if he stays with the Reds all year and they play him mostly in the outfield and a little bit of DH, I could see him being a decent outfielder. I could also see him being terrible. I have no idea what to expect. I just know it can't be worse than second base. Well,
yeah, I mean, hey, be careful what you say there, boss. Be careful. I'm not suggesting for a second that I'm rooting for it.
Opening day. Try.
Yeah, I don't. Boy, I'll tell you what, man. It's the holiday season. I am going to say nice things about Jonathan India. I think that he can be a great hitter. I think he can be a great hitter, and by great hitter, I mean just a little bit above league average, which is a good hitter. I mean, I'm not downplaying that. Listen, I see this name in the chat a couple times, and I've kind of following along with chat. Trevor Bauer's name's brought up. Okay, let me be very clear about this. This isn't speculation, okay? Trevor Bauer's name was brought up, and Nick Kroll made a statement on it and said that he will not be in the plans for the Cincinnati Reds. So many of you already know my stance on the whole thing. I'm not saying I know more than the Reds, but I don't know the whole situation. I just know that if somebody gives him a chance and he throws the ball relatively well, they'll be happy they signed him, because I don't think there will be hardly any downfall other than performance. Because if he's bad, he's bad. That's one thing. I don't think there will be nearly the downfall and the repercussions of signing him as everyone else makes it out to be. But teach their own, and I'm not here to tell the Reds that it's a terrible move, because I, again, don't know their culture, and I don't know Trevor Bauer all that well. But I wouldn't just nix it. And I'll tell you, can I be honest why I think that they said they were going to nix it? I think it comes from ownership. I think it comes from Bob. I don't think Bob is a fan of the speculation and or the allegations that happened to him. This isn't a debate. This isn't me trying to say whether he did it or didn't do it. Again, you've heard my stance on it. Legally, he's been innocent, and I like to use the legal system as my judgment point when I'm running a business. But I think Bob basically said that he doesn't like that. He's not doing that, and it's off the table. And I think the front office then obliged. That's speculation. That's all me, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, he did also play here too. So the Reds do know Trevor Bauer and what he's like in a clubhouse. I don't know one way or the other. I know there's, some reports that are pretty old at this point about, some teammates that didn't like him, but the Reds did see him up close and personal. And for Nick Krall to make a statement like that, I don't even know if they're allowed to make statements like that. I didn't think they're allowed to. I didn't think baseball operations people were allowed to say we're not signing a particular free agent. I thought that was against the CBA. I don't know if maybe Bauer's not protected in the CBA. I don't know. But that was surprising because they never, you never hear them say, we're not signing this guy. And I know they're specifically not supposed to even say that. So for them to say that, I mean, I guess you can debate it all you want, but it's not happening. So,
Reds and 4 says if the Reds will have $10 million left to spend for the rest of the offseason, what are you spending it on?
Reds only have $10 million left. Can we defer Michael Wacha? Can I get 10 and then the other 15, the other 5 deferred? Is that fair?
$10 million. I'll
have to look at the projections. Harrison Bader would fit in your 10 million.
Yeah, that's the only guy I thought of. I keep bringing him up.
I know, but
I love Harrison Bader. I think Harrison Bader slept on. I think he is. I think he's slept on. And you know what? If you want to judge him for 30 at bats, judge him for 30 at bats. That's fine. But he just fits. He kind of fits the culture. You know what I'm saying? He fits what the Reds are about. You get on base, you steal bags. You get on base, you steal bags. You're quick. You're athletic. I don't know. Yeah.
Liam Hendrick could be an interesting. They got him at 2 years, $12 million. A potential, really buy low. That's kind of where I'm thinking is if you only have that much money, it's probably going to be a reliever because I don't think the Reds need another mediocre position player, which is what you're going to get with $10 million, right? I mean, you're not going to get anyone good, so I think you pretty much would have to get a reliever.
Now, be careful now. Be careful. Who was the guy who, and this is where I struggle to remember names, but who was the guy that tore up the Garcia from the Rangers? Kid was thrown out in the streets. Nobody even wanted him.
Okay, I don't mean okay. I mean, sure, you could.
I was saying somebody's out there.
I'm talking an actual free agent, not a Brandon Drury, you're picking up on a minor league that you hope is a lottery. I'm talking someone that actually costs money. I mean, I don't think Tim Anderson right now is projected for 1 year, $12 million. He's above the 10 million threshold, and he was absolutely terrible last year. Right. So I mean, I think you're probably looking at a reliever if that's.
He hit a fun home run though in Iowa. So
there you go.
Good stock.
Yeah.
All right. A couple more questions here before we call it a night. Bryce Spalding added, if you get Bader and Wacha for $25 million, the Reds win the Central. Funny. Mr. Juan wants Mitch Garver. Hunter Holt asks, do you feel that a right-handed hitter outfielder is still necessary, given the Candy signing?
I don't think so.
I think it's possible. Still on the table.
You might actually have to move someone then, not team move someone. Yeah,
I'm team move whoever the hell you need to move if you think it's going to make your team better, like most of us. But I've really tried to do one thing as I guess a fan moving forward is not fall in love with anybody, not be like this guy has to be on the Reds or I don't want to be a fan anymore. Because inevitably, if you keep your expectations low and you keep your you keep your guard out, then you can't get hurt, right? I think that's what people that are trying to find love do that have I've been burnt before, which is probably a bad thing to do. Not that this is a love advice show, but I just, yeah, I don't know. I love TJ Friedel, but man. Would you do this? Let me ask you this. Would you trade TJ Friedel for Bieber straight up?
Probably. I mean, you're going to have to really kind of you have to go sign a center fielder. So, I mean, it'd have to be like I don't think you can run with what you got.
You aren't going to say it because you would get crushed. Who's your daddy's going to blow your ass up in the chat? He already has. I've seen it. But you know what?
Stuart Fairchild. I like Stuart Fairchild. Stuart Fairchild can't hit right-handed pitching every day. I like Stuart Fairchild, the platoon player. There's a huge difference.
You don't think they could go find a platoon player to platoon with Stuart Fairchild?
That can play good defense in center field. These players are expensive. I mean, you could maybe go get like an Adam Duvall who's not a super platoon.
How much are you going to pay for Waka?
Hunter was right there. How much are you going to pay for Waka? I think Waka was 230, like pretty much like just another Martinez.
Yeah.
I just think you're better off just signing Waka, calling it a day, keep all your prospects, you keep the plan in place, you have a better team for next year. I don't know. I mean, it depends on what other teams in your division do, but you go sign Michael Waka. I think the Reds are the favorites in the division and still have the best future. Like, you have both.
Michael says that he sent the light videos and tagged Nick and Trace. Follow me. Handles in the chat.
I don't.
Hackers made me have to start over with a new account. Enjoy and Merry Christmas, everyone. Reds win 93 games next year. Book it. Man, if they win 93 games, I'd be fired up.
They might.
I can't. Michael, you're gonna have to help me out and put it in the chat again because I'm like scrolling and searching. I can't find it. He said he tagged us too. I just don't see that either. That's here nor there.
Yeah, sometimes if you have a new account, it doesn't like pop through and the X filters and all that. So
please, if you have any other questions or like a topic of conversation that you want to talk about, pop it in the chat real fast. We can hang on. We can hang on here just a little bit longer, and then
what do you think the Cubs are going to do? I've seen a couple things on that.
Yeah, I don't really give a damn because I hate the Cubs, and I really don't think that whatever they do, they're going to mess it up. I you know what, like that's you know what I've realized is that the Bengals fans are this way with the Browns. You know what I'm saying? Like every day in the office, I always tell everybody, I'm like, listen, the Browns are good, guys. Like the Browns are good. I've watched them. They're a good football team. The Browns are a good football team. And everyone's in the office like, oh geez, like they're Brown. They're not good. They're the Browns. Like that's how I feel about the Cubs in a way. Like it's just like well, they missed out on Ohtani, and I can't say the kid's name from overseas that the Yoshimoto or whatever his name is. I'm guessing I butchered that, but they're not going to get him because he's probably going to sign with the Dodgers, and then where's Cody Bellinger going to go?
He's going to go back to Chicago.
Really? What about Blue Jays? I feel like I seen his wife take a picture. That was the rumor. Wife took a picture in Toronto.
Maybe.
Taxes are high in Toronto. Don't know if you know that.
Yeah,
You got to pay Canadian tax. You got to pay Canadian tax. And then you got to turn around and you got to pay taxes in all the cities that you play in. Your game check gets taken out of the cities because it's a different country. Just FYI. Just so you know. Food for thought.
Yeah, I think he'll end up back in Chicago. It seems like he liked it there. It seems like the Giants, I know, were one of the big ones, and they just signed a player today.
Yeah.
So
Trajan Garvey, he says, do you feel the Cubs are the only team who's going to compete in the NL Central? I don't, man. I'll tell you what. I know this sounds crazy to say. I really think this Central can be won by every team except for the Cardinals. I just don't see it. I know that everyone's going to tell me what they are on paper. I know they are. They're going to say, look at who they got. They just got Sonny Gray. They just went out and they still have Goldschmidt. They still have Arenado. Those guys are getting older. They're not the players they used to be. I hope I'm right, obviously, and I think all of you hope I'm right too. But people are going to laugh at me, but I think the Pittsburgh Pirates are a good team. Okay? I do. If they're healthy, if the Pittsburgh Pirates stay healthy, Pittsburgh Pirates are going to be a good team. They were a good team at the end of last year, man. You not remember? Like I think they swept the Cubs at the end of the year. They took 2 or 3 from the Cubs. We laughed about it. And then they came in and they took 2 or 3 from the Reds, if I remember right.
Yeah, the Pirates won 76 games last year, and they had an 8-18 May and an 8-16 July. So they had 2 really bad months, and they still got 76 wins. They didn't have O'Neal Cruz all year. Several of their big prospects didn't get called up till halfway through the season. Yeah, people are sleeping on the Pirates. I think Pirates are. I would not be shocked if it's Reds and Pirates 1-2 next year.
I wouldn't be shocked either.
It depends on what Milwaukee does. Are they like kind of this half in still? I mean, if they're still half in, I think they're still going to be right there. I mean, you still have Corbin Burns, you still have Freddie Peralta, you still have God knows who else they just call up from Double-A that can throw 99 with a curveball that drops 100 feet. They'll still be, there as well if they decide to stay the course. But I also could see them trading Corbin Burns and pulling back. I think they should. I think the Brewers should.
Oh, shoot. Got some funny people in the chat, man. Carrie, that made me laugh, man. That's some funny stuff. Yeah, Craig brings up the Saturday in Cincinnati. I still remember it. I still remember where I was at.
Can we talk about the Sunday in Oakland and what I feel like that was fair game to pass along what happened there.
Yeah.
Should we tell that story? Brad made it seem like it was fine to talk about. Like we weren't giving away.
No, I feel like we can talk about it. He also, really quickly before we talk about it, Brad was really down to earth about it. Like Brad actually didn't seem to hold back about it either. Like he was talking about it like we were kind of on the in crowd for a second.
He wasn't big time. Like he wasn't
no.
He didn't come in, I'm the general manager of the Cincinnati Reds, you're so lucky to be talking to me type thing.
No.
He was genuinely thank you for having me on and really cool.
Right.
But yeah, so we interviewed David Bell. And then Brad came on. Yeah, we're talking about Brad Meter, Reds general manager, and just got promoted in September. And we had we were on commercial break. 1410 was on commercial break, so we had some time to kind of shoot the shit with Brad. And I said to Brad, I said, I don't.
You said to me, you looked at me and you were like, sorry, I didn't have the courage to ask him about the Sunday in Oakland. And we were laughing. We were laughing about it. We were laughing about it, and Brad kind of was just sitting there, not in the joke, and we kind of just said, "Hey," we're like, "Hey, Brad, we kind of have this thing where there was a lineup made out on Sunday in Oakland. The Padres were up next, and he took the conversation over from there because he remembered what I was talking about. He knew exactly what we were talking about. Which is crazy. It's 162 games, man. There's 162 games. This dude knew exactly the game we were talking about. Go ahead. You can keep going. That's how it got there.
He said the team was just completely exhausted.
They were gassed.
He's they had to do that. So, but yeah, next time you go, hey, you have too many players. There you go. Remember, we had to do Sunday in Oakland because we didn't have left fielder Jonathan India.
No, he said they were gassed. There was guys running on fumes. They needed to give everyone a day off, but so they just decided to give a bunch of guys a day off. And hey, listen, I was trying to be nice or whatever. I still don't believe that. I mean, they can run out there. They can go out there one more time. Okay, we're gonna go out there one more time. You guys can have the whole weekend off in San Diego. Go to the beach for all I care. Don't even show up at the park. In fact, it would have been just as good because they didn't win a game anyways. So. Although I did get one thing. I'm going to go and get it. I don't know if everyone's seen it or not. We have 200 people in here talking about some Reds baseball on December 12th, 2023. Looking forward to, what is the opening day? March 28th, 2024, I think. Really quickly, I just want to go ahead.
During the Sweet 16. Opening day and Sweet 16 are the same day.
That's kind of wild. Be interesting to see what Xavier fans decide what they want to do. They're going to go to opening day or they're going to go to the Sweet 16 game. The
Sweet 16 in the NIT.
Be careful now.
I'll make the joke.
Two things I want to talk about really fast. One is I'm going to go grab the present I found at Reds Fest. Some of you probably seen on Twitter already. Some of you may not. It's pretty funny. If you've watched the show a lot, I think it's awesome. I'm going to figure out how to frame some stuff around here and maybe, I don't know, who knows. All you're going to get to ever see is my basketball hoop behind there anyway, so what's it matter? But the other thing is this. We've had a good amount of people sign up for the Reds season ticket, Chatterbox Reds group package. Let me be very clear, right? The way that it works and is going to operate is we're going to basically have like fever pitch style. We'll set up a party. You can come in person if you would like. If you don't, you can draft online. It's going to be a snake draft. Everyone's going to get the opportunity to pick the games that they would like to go to, if they're still available, obviously. And you're either going to get 4 games with 2 tickets to each game, or you're going to get 2 games with 4 tickets to both of those games. So you're getting 8 tickets total. It is actually break even on the amount of money it costs for the tickets. The tickets are directly behind home plate, just above basically the broadcasters. So they're great seats. And then if they were to make the postseason, we get obviously postseason strip packages because we're season ticket holders. And the way we're going to do that is we're simply going to buy the tickets. We get 8 tickets per. So every single game in the playoffs, we will have 27 tickets. There is I think there's only 55 people that are available to be in the group. So if you do the math, you can see 27, 55. It's not hard to figure out that you're going to get an opportunity to pick which games you'd like to go to, and it's going to be the same thing. If you're interested in that, it is on our website. You can go to chatterboxsports.com. You click on Chatterbox Reds. It'll be right there. I think it's 4 payments of $49 or 1 payment for whatever. I think it's $185 or something like that. So again, it's nothing crazy. I wish there was a way for us to kind of make it like a Christmas present for people if that's what you wanted to do. Maybe you can print off the receipt and do something fancy on your own. But unfortunately at Chatterbox, we're not cool enough to send you some kind of gift package that can make it look all fancy. But nonetheless, we're going to run that, again, all the way up until we sell out of it. I don't really have a number off the top of my head, but there's still an okay amount of spots left. I'm sure as we get closer, as it ramps up, people start getting into the mood of Reds baseball. Maybe they go out and they make a big deal, and that'll spark some interest. But nonetheless, the reason I did this, I want everybody to know, it's not to make money at all. It is simply from the standpoint that if we can build this season group ticket package, the idea is to make sure that you get an opportunity to buy face value tickets if they get deep into the postseason and you're a loyal fan, right? Like if you're a loyal fan and they go to the NLCS, which I get it. That's like, holy shit. I mean, is that ever going to happen? I don't know. Maybe it'll never happen. But if they were to, you're not spending $250 a ticket to go to these games, $300 a ticket to go to these games. You get an opportunity to buy them at face value. And then heaven forbid they go to the World Series, same thing. You know, you get an opportunity to buy these at face value within our little group. And also maybe you'll make some friends along the way. You get to go to some, like, whether you want to come to the party in person or not, so be it. But the other thing too is we get some season ticket perks. I don't know if any of you care about, going to like behind the scenes player, I don't know what they call those, Nick, like play.
They do like photos with the players before the game on Sundays and things like that.
Yeah, so there's stuff that we'll put into the group and allow people to take advantage of as well. So again, maybe it fizzles out, nobody buys it, we lose a bunch of money here at Chatterbox. Maybe in 10 years, I'm being a little optimistic here. Maybe in 10 years, we're the biggest season ticket group collectors, and we have 75, 85, 90 seats, and not that we'll ever have any kind of negotiating power with the front office based off how many tickets we have, but the idea would be fun is to have a group of loyal, committed fans that have an opportunity to not have to buy a 13 game package or a 20 game package or a 40 game package or a 100 and, not 162, but an 81 game package. You buy 8 tickets at face value. It gets you into a chance to buy face value playoff tickets. That's the opportunity. All right. Any other questions, comments, concerns? And we should have, if Michael's still in here, someone help me out and give me Michael's handle. I want to show the Christmas lights.
I tweeted it to you, but I don't think you posted it.
Tweet it to me because I have not looked. I'm talking too much.
Yeah, I found him, but I don't know if he sent us the wrong handle, but I found a Michael Rolfe, but he doesn't have any pictures though.
Gotcha. Michael, come on, Michael.
We need it.
Need it, Michael. Anything else to add? Well, I'm gonna go grab this fun little thing. If I'm sure some people have already seen it, but
Alex asked about merch. You want to talk about the Chatterbox merch?
What is this? A sales segment? I guess that's what it's going to turn into. I do have some merch on.
Yeah.
Join the chatter. I'll stand up. Maybe that'll be better off. You can see that a little bit better.
Yeah, those are sharp.
Yeah.
I like that.
Merch going on right now. I think we just sent out a good amount of the orders yesterday and today, and then there's going to be a whole nother batch of orders that are going to go out on Thursday. So yeah, we got some merch in the store, chatterboxsports.com. Click on store. Go from there. All right, Nick, talk about some Reds baseball for a second. I'm going to go grab the gift. There's 3 under the bus.
All right.
Talk about something.
Yeah. Someone give me a question. Not chats. I gave you my phone number. Like, come on. Give me some real questions here. Why are the Reds never linked to Marcus Stroman? John, I'm with you on that. I think Stroman would be a great fit for the Reds, especially like with his projected of I think it was 2 years, $44 million is what MLB Trade Rumors projected. I said earlier on the show, I'm just assuming here that Stroman probably has no interest in going to the Reds. He's a younger free agent, so he's, I'm sure, looking to reestablish his value. And a guy like that at Great American Ballpark, it's obviously a little bit harder to establish your value. So that's my guess. I would think if Stroman had interest in going to the Reds, there probably would be some sort of at least rumor out there. Dylan, 3 weeks till Nick's full time. Yeah, getting close. I've got 7 more days at my current job I've been at for 10 years, so I'm excited and hopefully can provide a little more content. Got some ideas. Try not to go too far guns a-blazing because that's typically what I do, and then I get myself in trouble. But we'll have a lot of stuff. We'll be rolling. How do you feel about the new uniforms? The Reds have new uniforms?
No, we don't have new uniforms. We need new uniforms.
We do.
Golly day. Like, what are we waiting on? We failed. We failed as a fan base at Reds Fest.
So who's the
You
the
failed.
guy?
You failed. You had Phil
Me?
Castellini sitting right there. That's all you had to
That would
ask.
have been I asked for questions.
I know. I failed you.
That would have been a great question. That would have been. He probably would have said,
He would have said something politically correct. Maybe not, though. He's not a guy that usually says things that are PC, but.
Anyone in the chat know the guy on Twitter that makes the mock Reds uniforms? I feel like I got to shout him out because of this little conversation. What is his name? I can't remember his name. He is incredible. He's made some incredible Reds mock interviews. If someone knows who it is, put it in there. You got to find these Reds mock uniforms. I don't think it's Bryce. I don't think it's Jacob. Or maybe he's another one that does it.
I don't know. Regardless, they have so many great uniforms from the past. They could just genuinely just revert back to one of those for a season or two, and then throw out kind of some. Listen, franchises make this stuff harder than it needs to be. Come out with a couple styles. And honestly, even if you kind of wanted to kind of test them out, maybe you wear them a series here and there, one series, and you have 3 different sets. Let the fans decide. Like, genuinely, just make it a fan vote. You think that's a bad idea? What's so wrong with that?
No, I love it. I think you should be wearing. I loved it when the Reds. It was 2019 when they had like 100 different uniforms. I love that. I thought it was good. Seth Reese, Alex Wallace. You're on top of it. Seth Reese. Yes, he's the guy. Find his stuff. He has some incredible like concepts. Man, they're all just awesome. Yeah, Seth Reese.
Dylan says you're only allowed to have 5 throughout the season. Okay, that's fine. So does that include the City Connects within the 5, or is that part of just the? I don't know. I'll tell you what, even if they don't wear it in a game, whatever, model them off, put them all in the little fancy room, take pictures of them like they have for the City Connect uniforms, and let the fans vote. I think that the best ones they've ever had are still the ones that are super clean. They're the 2D look. And I don't know the era off the top of my head, but they're just straight up red and white.
Here, I sent you a DM. Since we're off the rails, you got to pull these up because I don't know if you've ever saw these. I sent you a DM. This is his whole concept. Man, some of these are just awesome.
Got it.
And he had these black ones before the City Connect. I love the pinstripes.
This is crazy that we can just do this on the fly quickly. This isn't bragging on me. It's just bragging on the fact that people have made software that allows us to do this. All right, here we go.
And shout out Alex Wallace for finding this. Yeah, you just kind of scroll through it here.
Yeah, give me a second. Okay. By the way, those are the ones that I was talking about. Those look great.
Okay. I love that Mr. Reds logo. That's sharp.
It is sharp. I like that Reds logo. Mr. Red logo. Yeah, these look good.
Keep going.
Yeah, better. I know. Yeah, those are solid. All right, are you a pinstripe guy? I don't.
Oh yes. Oh yes. I would spend my entire paycheck on pinstripe Reds uniforms. Oh yeah.
Pinstripe guy. See, I'm not a black guy. I don't think those black ones look that good.
And I like the Queen City. That would have kind of been a fun City Connect if they did Queen City.
The problem with the Queen City, in my opinion, is that there's 2 Queen Cities in the country. So It's not really that unique in that sense. But yes, if it was, then
the little KRP. Yeah. Good stuff.
Yep.
Seth Reese. I have to get him on a
Good
podcast
for Seth.
sometime.
Yeah, maybe so. Who knows?
Talk us through his thoughts on that. Good stuff.
Yeah, they're good. Better than what they got. All these shadows and stuff. Gross looking. Mr. Juan. I don't know what Mr. Juan's saying. What did I say? I don't know. That seems like a dangerous pool to jump in there. I don't know what that is.
Might be time to log off, Trace.
All right.
Oh man, appreciate you all.
Oh.
even know what to say.
I'm sorry. I'm definitely not that. Yeah. That's on me. Hand up. Hopefully I can come back and do another show. All right. If it's not, this is the Sunday in Oakland. Right here on Chatterbox Reds, December 12th, 2023.
Tuesday on YouTube.
Yeah, Tuesday on YouTube that sent the Titanic to the bottom of the ocean. All right, I'll stop burying myself here. For those that don't know, I went down to Reds Fest and I was just digging through the game used memorabilia, as they say, and I found something, and I thought it would be fitting. Now, where we put this, I don't know, but I just want to show you what it is. It is the lineup card here, everybody. You ready? See that? The lineup card. I'm going to go scroll nice and slow through there. I don't even know if you can see it because it's in front of my face. There it is.
Go,
now, here's the beautiful part, right?
Yes. Stop there so people can see the lineup. The Reds
exactly. Here's the beautiful part. Ready for this, everybody?
Batting leadoff.
I'm going to do it for you. Ready? Damn, this is going to be really hard. This is almost impossible. Batting leadoff. Playing second base. Kevin Newman. Not to be outdone, batting in the 2-hole. The designated hitter, Spencer Steer. Batting in the 3-hole. Playing left field. The none other, the man, the myth, the legend, Stuart Fairchild. And as you all know, the big swinging, hammer dropping, power boosting, catching, Tyler Stevenson hitting in the 4-hole. And oh, by the way, you worried about you can't pitch around Tyler Stevenson. You know why? Because you got Henry Ramos backing him up. He's playing right field. And if you thought you were going to have to be able to pitch around Henry Ramos, don't you worry. We got Nick Senzel. Where is Nick Senzel even playing in this game? Oh, he's playing center field. Let's just keep it going. All right. Nick Senzel. Who's playing third base, Trace? Oh, don't worry about it. It's Matt Reynolds. Yeah, Matt Reynolds is playing third base. And then batting eighth, none other than the slick fielding, big stick hitting Jose Barrero playing shortstop. And who's wait a minute. I said he was catching earlier. He wasn't catching. Tyler Stevens was playing first base. Who's catching? Kurt Casale. That's right. And then you have Nick Lodolo, who back then was, we thought, probably one of our better starters.
Hold up a second here. You got to look at this box score, though. Kev had 2 hits. Steer had a hit. Fairchild had a double. Ramos had 2 hits. Senzel had 2 hits. Matt Reynolds had a hit. Jose Barrero had a hit. Tyler Stevenson, 0 for 5, 3 strikeouts.
I was they scored. How many runs did they score? They scored 1 run.
They scored 4 runs.
4 runs. 5-4. Damn, they lost 5-4.
It was Lodolo. Lodolo let us down. Not really. It was actually Buck Farmer.
Who let us down? Be honest. Who let us down?
Buck Farmer had a blown save. Gave up.
You know who they had? You know who they had available?
Reds had a 4-3 lead.
You know who they had available? Supposedly, would they have put him on the list if he wasn't available? I don't know, but Alexis Diaz was available. Ian Jabot, they never crossed him off. That's on David Bell then.
Well, I think it's coming back to me. I think that was one of these games where David Bell, where I didn't really agree with, where remember twice he brought in Alexis Diaz after the game was pretty much already over. I think this was one of those games where they had already given up the tying run and they brought in Diaz to try to save it, and it was already toast. They were trying not to use him or something. I think that's what happened here.
Damn, I just assumed that Stevenson was catching too. I just playing first base. Playing first base.
3 strikeouts.
You know what's even more disgusting? There was no one available on the bench to play first base. There wasn't. I mean, Jonathan India, you could say. I guess Jonathan India could play first base.
Newman, Ramos, and Senzel combined for 6 hits, and you lose. That's tough.
Yeah.
you gonna
Reaver
do?
San Martin was available in that game, and so was Alex Young.
Reaver San Martin.
Yeah. I mean, we were terrible. Yeah, terrible. The Reds were so bad. On April 30th of 2023, this team was atrocious. I mean, that's a disgusting team.
12-16.
By the way, the team on the other side, I don't. They're just as bad. So, all right. Well, we'll find out what this year is. We'll just keep hanging these up. Every single year, we'll find out the most disgusting game that we can find, the one that pisses us off the most. And you know what? I do think that the Saturday in Cincinnati was probably worse than the Sunday in Oakland, okay? But that was more or less just the fact that it was just a bad outing. We had good players on the field, just a bad outing. We're going to find a lineup every year that we can try to replicate this. Just hopefully it never happens, but good golly. This is disgusting. Yeah, that's a Major League Baseball team. Anyway. All right. Well, it's this time of the show where we sit around and we wonder how in the world we went an hour and a half, and then mostly it's just because we messed around and we didn't really talk about a whole lot towards the end. And my apologies on my my mishap there at the end of the show. We all get through it together, though. We'll all get through it together. Is there anything that I'm missing? I feel like I'm missing something. DSC, shout out to them. Chatterbox Bengals. If you don't know, they will be going live pretty much after every single game. I think we had the graphics from earlier, from Thursday night. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. No big deal. Keep it moving. It's off-season mode.
Hey, this one's right.
Chatterbox Bearcat, Chatterbox Clicker. Yep, that's right, I think. We don't really know. Who knows around here? Got the Chatter, as always. Check them out. Just click on Chatterbox Sports. Go check it out. We got to talk about football a lot on this platform. You got Off the Bench with old Tommy B every single day, 10 a to 12 p. And you got Box Lunch, members only show, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at noon. And it's Chatterbox's version of an HBO show. Boy, is it HBO. Just a bunch of guys just letting it rip right off the most ridiculous takes you've ever heard. All right, guys. That is it. It's been a pleasure. It's been an honor. We love all of you. If the Reds make a move, we will try to go live as quick as we can, as long as life's not in the way. Most of the time, we try to move life out of the way to be live anyways, talk with all of you and have fun. Could you do me a favor, though? This is a genuine ask. It's kind of cheating the system, but I like cheating the system if it doesn't hurt anybody, right? If you're not cheating, you're not trying, kind of. YouTube, for whatever reason, all right, loves comments. They love comments. And we do a live show and we have hundreds of comments in the live chat, but then when our show's over, no one comments because you've already commented before. I'm not saying just don't comment to comment, but maybe do me a favor. If you could comment like a mailbag question or a question in general, and then maybe the other people could even reply to those questions because it might be a fun little way to banter kind of during the week. When this show's over, wait until the show's over and then comment on it as if it's kind of as a YouTube normal post, if you will, right? I think that would help us as well. Like it would actually start recommending to other people and it would just help us out in general. So that would be something free that you can do. You can always obviously like the stream. That's science. We've talked about that at time and time again. Doesn't equal wins right now but it might equal a trade. I don't know.
Did equal Jeimer Candelario though.
That it did. So if you wanted someone better than Jeimer Candelario, you should have had more likes, because if you'd have had more likes, probably would have been Ohtani. That's probably what would have happened. But didn't have enough likes. How many likes do you think we need to get to Ohtani?
7.5 billion.
I don't think we'd get there. All right, but anyways, that's my plea. Otherwise, thank you guys. We love all of you. And this is the time of the show where we run an outro and Nick Kirby throws the overlay. And we both say, we love you. Thank you. As always, go Reds.